Iran attacked a U.S. base in Iraq. Not last month, not during Operation Epic Fury, yesterday, the day after the United States paused military operations specifically to give Iran room to negotiate. And while Washington was processing those attacks, something else was happening. Something Iran did not expect. Something that is now sending genuine panic through the highest levels of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, not because of what America fired, because of what America revealed. What the United States just deployed over the Strait of Hormuz is not a new aircraft, not a new missile, not a technology Iran has never seen before. It's something far more dangerous to Iran's position than any single weapons platform. It's information, real-time, precise, actionable intelligence about everything Iran has been desperately trying to hide, extracted through a trap so carefully constructed that the IRGC walked directly into it while believing it was walking toward an opportunity. But to understand why this matters, we first need to understand why Iran is simultaneously attacking American forces and claiming it wants to negotiate, because that contradiction tells you everything about who is actually in control inside the Islamic Republic right now. Hashtag the internal war inside Iran. The answer is the IRGC, and the IRGC does not want a deal. The New York Post put it plainly, war-hungry Revolutionary Guard maintains its grip on Iran as the United States hold a fragile ceasefire. Inside Iran, there are two factions at war with each other. On one side, the IRGC, ideologically hardened, calling the foreign minister a traitor, placing the parliament speaker under house arrest, and launching strikes on American forces during a ceasefire that the other side is trying to turn into a real agreement. On the other side, civilian moderates who understand the economic reality. The blockade is costing Iran hundreds of millions of dollars every day. Oil exports are blocked. Infrastructure damage is accumulating. They are desperately trying to reach a deal before the next phase of American military action, which Trump has explicitly described as far more intense than anything Iran has seen. The moderates cannot negotiate. The IRGC won't let them. Hashtag the gap between the deals. 3 outlets publish 3 different versions of the current American demands, and the gap between them is revealing. The Wall Street Journal version is extraordinary. A 20-year enrichment ban, all enriched uranium transferred out of Iran. Full dismantlement of Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, a ban on underground nuclear work, and on-demand inspections with automatic penalties. If Iran accepted this, it would represent a deeper rollback of its nuclear program than decades of multilateral diplomacy ever achieved, which is exactly why Iran's hardliners will never accept it. Because accepting it destroys the entire political identity they've built on resisting American pressure. The Axios version tells a different story, and may be closer to where things are actually heading. A 1-page memorandum of understanding. A moratorium on enrichment during talks. In return, sanctions lifted, frozen funds released, the strait reopens, and a 30-day clock begins for longer-term negotiations. This is structurally close to what Iran itself was proposing just 1 week ago. So the honest question is, what has Iran achieved, militarily or diplomatically, to justify that American movement toward their position? Militarily? Nothing. American destroyers transit the strait freely. Iranian attacks on those destroyers fail completely. IRGC fast boats go to the bottom of the sea. Iranian coastal infrastructure is systematically destroyed. Diplomatically? Nothing. China called for the strait to reopen. Russia is collecting windfall oil profits while offering Iran only rhetoric. Gulf states are buying $25 billion in American air defense systems. The UAE left OPEC and is actively cooperating with the U.S. Treasury to dismantle Iran's shadow banking network. The concessions in the Axios version appear to be driven not by Iran's performance, but by Washington's political calendar. Specifically, Trump's upcoming China summit, which the administration would prefer to attend with the Iran situation formally paused. Iran's hardliners are sophisticated enough to read that calendar, and they're exploiting it. Hashtag the trap they walked into. But here is what Iran's hardliners failed to calculate. Every attack launched since the ceasefire began has exposed something. Every missile track to its launch point added a coordinate to America's targeting picture. Every drone traced to its staging area made Iran's concealed network slightly less concealed. Every fast attack boat that emerged from its underground coastal base and was destroyed revealed the location of that base. The underground infrastructure Iran spent decades building, the missile cities carved into mountains, the naval installations hundreds of meters deep, the dispersed launch sites designed to be too numerous and too hidden to preemptively strike, is being mapped in real time by American ISR systems deployed specifically for this purpose. The May 7th operation made this explicit. 3 American destroyers were positioned as bait. The IRGC saw what looked like an opportunity, exposed ships in Iranian-controlled waters, and activated everything simultaneously. Drone swarms, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, fast attack boats. The full activation of assets that had been hidden underground for years. Every launch signature was traced. Every coordinate was recorded. Every piece of that concealed network revealed itself in the act of being used. None of the American ships were hit. All of the Iranian assets were destroyed, and the launch infrastructure was struck before it could return to concealment. The IRGC cannot undo this. It cannot reconceal what was exposed. The information asymmetry that Iran's entire concealment strategy depended upon has been permanently narrowed, and every subsequent attack narrows it further. They thought the moment was right to strike. They were correct that it appeared favorable. What they failed to understand was that appearing exposed was the point. Hashtag the domestic picture. Inside Iran, the reality is becoming impossible to hide, even from Iran's own government. The Iranian president posted a statement about rising prices and called for action against profiteering. He posted it on Twitter, a platform that has been banned inside Iran for over 68 days. His own citizens couldn't see it. The only audience was the international community and regime officials with special access. That is the behavior of a government that knows its domestic situation is catastrophic and cannot say so to its own people. Al Jazeera journalists who got inside Iran documented the reality. Inflation accelerating daily on everything from eggs to cars to gold. Shopkeepers saying even if the war ends soon, the damage will take 10 to 15 years to repair. A billboard in central Tehran showing Trump's face with the Strait of Hormuz sealed over his mouth, with the slogan, "Asterisk at the breaking point." Asterisk. The regime erected a billboard about being at the breaking point. Whatever the intended message, what it communicates honestly is that something inside Iran is approaching a threshold that defiance alone cannot manage. Hashtag the wild card. Trump added a dimension most analysts have overlooked. When asked whether the U.S. would provide weapons to Iranian opposition forces, he said, asterisk, I do not want to say that. Asterisk then asterisk, but yeah, asterisk. His logic was direct. 200,000 people can protest in the streets, but 5 or 6 people with guns can end that protest by shooting between the eyes. Weapons change that calculation. The IRGC's domestic power rests entirely on its willingness to use lethal force against its own citizens. A population with access to weapons capable of deterring that force is a population where the IRGC's calculus of repression fundamentally changes. This is a dimension Iran's hardline commanders must now factor into their strategy. Hashtag high voltage emotional close. The memorandum deadline has passed. Iran has not said yes, has not said no, has said nothing, and that silence is moving Washington's assessment toward a conclusion. Genuine negotiations are not possible with the current Iranian leadership configuration. Project Freedom is paused, but the assets are in position. The carriers are in the strait. The aircraft are on alert. The submarines are in the depths. And the intelligence picture from May 7th is being integrated into targeting systems that now know far more about Iran's concealed coastal network than they did before that attack. If operations restart, Trump has been explicit about what that looks like. Not the same campaign that was paused, but a broader, more comprehensive effort at a much higher intensity than Operation Epic Fury, which was already the most comprehensive American military campaign in this region in a generation. The IRGC commanders who attacked American forces a day after Washington made a unilateral concession have made a calculation that American patience is a permanent constraint, that deadlines will keep getting extended, that defiance has no real consequence. The information gathered over the Strait of Hormuz on May 7th suggests they may have fundamentally miscalculated. The trap was laid. The bait was taken. The concealment was broken. And the intelligence picture keeps growing, built from every launch signature, every revealed position, every exposed underground facility. Iran cannot believe what the United States just deployed over Hormuz, not because it was something new, but because it was something old used in a new way. Information turned against concealment, patience turned into a trap, and a network that took decades to build, mapped in the act of using it. Asterisk, asterisk. The deadline Iran ignored is still attached to consequences it hasn't experienced yet. Asterisk if this breakdown gave you clarity on what's actually happening. Drop a comment with your take. Subscribe for the next update. This situation is moving fast. Asterisk.